Well, hello there. My name is Marie, and I like to make things, and then I like to turn around and show you how I made those things. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, as I said, I like to make things. Do I know how to make those things? 9 times out of 10, I don't. But I do know the supplies, and I know how to make it work. And if you like that stuff, then subscribe so you don't miss when I post another video. Oh, before I get started, this video is sponsored by 𝐂𝐈𝐿. What's 𝐂𝐈𝐿? Well, this. 𝐂𝐈𝐿 is a small Black-owned business that specializes in travel-inspired pieces that inspires confidence. And if you like beautiful earring pieces like this, then give them a follow. Check out their Instagram and their website. Again, thank you so much, 𝐂𝐈𝐿, for sponsoring this video. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. I can't see you guys. I gotta put my glasses on. Okay, now I can see you. Okay, so let me get down to business. First things first, after viewing my last video, I'm like, is there any way that I can start shortening my videos? Because 2 videos was a little bit much. You need to calm down, Marie, because that was too much. So what I wanted to do was to do a redo of how to create this pin again. Okay, you may be thinking, you already created this pin. Why are you creating another one? Well, let's just start with, I found a more, what's the word I'm looking for? More abbreviated way to create this pin. Let me show you the supplies and then we can get right into it. You know, like shortening our videos and stuff, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You got it. Okay. Now, these are the supplies that you would need, okay? First things first, I want to address my way of doing my beads now. I've been doing this for a little bit and I kind of like it. You can use your bead trays if you like, but you know, I don't know. I kind of like this. So let's take a few seconds to marvel at this little weird little creation. So I just took a regular painting palette and I filled up each one of the spots where the paint is supposed to go. I filled them up with beads, and then I actually took this thing and I have it connected to my desk with Velcro, so I can't just knock it over, because you know how klutzy I am. Oh yeah, that's me. So anyway, I'm going to work with this little contraption. It only moves just a little bit, but it's really connected with Velcro to my desk here. We have the beads that we need, obvious. I have my little pin here ready to go. I have a little water soluble pencil that I'm going to use to draw my design out onto my background. I even changed the background to this hard, weird leather stuff that I found, but I'll find something equivalent for you guys. So we have that. Of course, we have our pliers. We're going to need that because we're going to be working with wire. So I got my scissors just in case. This is just to bend it, hold things down, whatever. And so of course my wire, like I said, it's a 30 gauge wire. It's very thin, so it won't take up that much space. Okay, now here's the thing. This is what's going to be different than the last video that I just did on this particular subject. I'm going to try to glue it down instead of the sewing, because the sewing took forever. If I'm really going to be honest about this, it took me about 3 days to get the pin done because I was doing all that sewing. I even did some abbreviated sewing and it still took forever. So what I'm going to do, I've already created something. So I already tested out this theory that I have. I already tested it out. I have an example already ready to go to show you guys at the end. Okay, what I did was I used 3 different types of glue, or I'm thinking that I'm going to use 3 types of glue. So I have this I found in my research on YouTube. A lot of people have been using this glue. I haven't used it yet, so we're going to, just like I said, I may not know how I'm going to do it, but I have the right supplies that we're going to need in order to accomplish it. May not know what I'm doing, but we got the right tools. Okay, so this Fevibond, so it's a rubber it's a rubber-based adhesive. That's what I do know about it. And it has a really strong smell. I do know that. Yeah. So I have that I'm going to use, okay? Then I've already used this in the past. So this E6000 is the tacky extreme tack. So it comes out, it's a really thick glue and it doesn't dry immediately, but it's tacky almost instantly, okay? So we have that. And then my handy dandy and trusted IBD brush on nail glue. You may be thinking this is for nails, but guess what? I use this glue for a lot of things and it works. We also are going to need our pin back, and if you want to change it into an earring, then you can have your post back. I have this little piece of leather with it, which is the same leather that is going to be on the back. I'm going to use that to cover it and glue the pin down. Okay, so we're going to set that aside because we're not going to need it right now. So let's start out first with getting our design onto our leather and what that's going to look like. So I have my little pin and I have my water soluble pencil. I think it's sharp enough. And so what I'm going to do is just draw out a general shape, okay? So I'm going to put this down this way. And I'm trying to make sure that I have enough space on all sides, okay? And then I'm going to just trace this out and put it on a flat surface, and I'm going to trace it out real quick. And if you make a mistake, you can always just get a little bit of water and just wipe it away because it's water soluble. Okay, so I got my little general shape, also eyeing it up, and then I drew in this little thing for the head wrap, okay? Just make sure that I have the general shape and see how it shows up. It's very, very, very clear. That's what I like about it. So now we have our little outline shape, okay? Now, what I would like to do is I want to recreate this pen exactly how it is. Exactly. I don't know. We'll get it close. So I'm going to try to recreate this. And so to start off, what I like to do is take and cut off a bunch of little pieces of this wire. Now the thing about this wire is that it doesn't need to be big. What we're going to be doing is literally gluing down pieces of wire that has beads on them. That's it. We don't need the wire for anything other than keeping the beads straight. Okay, keep that in mind. So I'm going to cut off a few pieces, varying sizes, lengths. So I just want to make sure that I have enough different wire choices and lengths. And then I'm going to set that aside, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to string on some beads. And to start that off, what I'm going to do with the end of the wire, this is very important. I take my little pliers and I just bend down. I just created a little bend that looks like this, okay? And I'm going to pinch it, but it's going to be just enough so that the beads do not come off of it, okay? So now I have a nice little length, and I'm going to start, I'm going to put my pin here so I can follow along what I'm doing. And I'm going to be speeding this through. I'm going to string on this skin color really quick. Now that I have my first strand of beads here, what I might do, since we have it bent on the end here, so I might just take it just to keep everything all in order. I'm going to bend it on this end also. Okay, so there you have it. Set that aside. I'm going to take my glue. So I'm going to put some glue. Now this glue is a pain in my butt. I will tell you that right now. Just being honest, just being honest. It's a pain in my butt. So I'm going to do a line of stickiness using this glue. I think in the beginning I'm going to be using this glue, but then everything else filling in, I'm going to be using the other glues, okay? Alright. Alright, so I got myself, ooh, that's a weird color. Alright, so I'm going to I cut off this wire. So now I have a little piece of beaded wire, okay? And you can shape it whichever way you want to shape it. That's why I work with the wire, okay? So now I'm going to put this up on here. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to sit this over here to the side. And what I like to do is I want to take something and sit it on top of this so that it will keep it flat. This is just the bottom of my bead spinner. And I'm just going to set this on top of it so it has a little bit of a weight on it so that it will not move, and give it some time to dry, okay? So I'm just weighing it down in place because it takes a bit for the glue to actually stop being so wiggly. And in the meantime, I'm going to string on another set of beads for this skin tone, okay? And then from there, I'm going to show you how I glue all these down, okay? So I have a series of different ones strung on and ready to go, okay? So because we already put the glue down on this, this glue that's been there for about, I think it's been about 15 minutes, is a little tacky, but you know, not enough that it gets all over everything. So I'm going to start just putting down my little strings. See, so much easier. And I have these already done because all you have to do is just string on the beads, bend the ends, and go. So I'm using whatever tackiness is already there, and boom. So that's what it's like to use that first glue, this extreme tack. For me personally, I kind of think this one is the best to use. But each one of the glues has its fine points. And if you need to, just throw some down. And since it's going to dry clear, we don't have to worry about it getting on the beads. So I'm taking a little bit of a needle, and I'm just spreading the glue out so that I'm not wasting it. So here we go. So I try not to manipulate the beads too much whereas they start to move all over the place. So I just put them down, leave it. I'll take whatever I'm using to weight down, just weight it down for a little bit, just push it. I'm just pushing it down using something like a container, just pushing it down, okay? And that's like to get the glue in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish filling all these beads in using this glue, and then whatever I have left, I'm going to move on to the next glue and then this glue. Okay, so I decided to just do the whole face, and just using this as my template, just trying to get the face shape right, and gluing it is pretty hard, but like I said, we figure it out. So I did all this using this glue. The thing about it is that I like is the fact that after you let it sit for a little bit, it becomes tacky. So I just spread the glue on first and then just put all my beads on there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change out my glues, and I'm going to use this glue now. And so I'm going to start with the head wrap. Okay, so now I'm going to start working on the head wrap. I got a little bit of gold that I'm using, and I'm going to open up this Fevibond. So I'm going to open this up, and it comes out as like a yellow looking something. I don't know. Maybe I need to clean it. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. What I do not like of this already, what I don't like about this is that if you're not careful, it'll just keep pushing out, just like what will happen with E-6000. But if you can get it to stop coming out, then you'll be able to control it. I'm going to use this next for the head wrap. So I'm just going to spread some out here. It is very strong smelling. Yes, that's okay, just keeping in mind that it is a very strong stench. It's strong. And so because I want this to spread out a little bit, because I'm doing this part of the pin with the gold, so I want this to spread out a little bit but not too much. So what I might do is just put glue all in these areas because it seems to stay sticky for a while. So I'm going to spread glue out in those areas. Okay. And then I'm going to put down the gold one. And I'm just going to attach it. Then I'm going to pinch. All right. And now I'm going to fill in that area where the glue is, okay? And then I'll come back. So I'm going to talk about this Fevibond really quick. What I will say is that I do love it more than I like this E-6000. So testing out all these glues is the best way to be able to tell you guys what glue to get. Okay, this is the only way that I figured out how to do it. So I used the Fevibond on this teal blue part, and what I found is that this glue is the E-6000 on the bottom for the skin, and it's still wet. Okay, it's still wet. It's still like moving around. See, yeah. And this Fevibond is already dry. It's still a little tacky, but it's not moving around. So what I did was, so for these right here, I didn't bend them down. I just let it sit there. So basically, this is glued down just by the beads. It's not glued down by the wire. So I could take and push on this wire, and it's coming out on the other side, and I can just basically pull. I could just basically pull this out, and the beads are still there. I don't know. It's maybe a bad idea, but this is pretty darn stuck in there. And you know, I think for the other ones, I'm just going to take that one out for now, just because it was just, the wire just wasn't flat enough for me, so I just took it out. So this first row doesn't have any wire in it, and it's still sitting there, and I'm moving it around and it's not moving. Okay, it's pretty good. It takes forever to get to you, but it works. And so for these other ones, I'm just going to cut the wire. So these two rows are still these two rows on the top are still connected with wire, but you can't see the wire. The wire is inside the beads. And so you have that, okay? So that was done with Fevibond. So now what I'm going to do is I'll move on to the next color, which is this yellow of the head wrap. And I'm going to use my handy dandy nail glue. Now I've worked with this nail glue for one entire pin and I love it because it does dry quick. But if you want, I feel like the Fevibond and the nail glue are kind of in conjunction with each other because they basically go on very, very thin. They're not thick and tacky like E-6000, but I will say that they all do the same job. If you want to go and say, oh, I want a thick glue where I can push the beads into and I know that they're stuck there and I know where to stick the beads down, the E-6000 works pretty well and it dries clear. Now, all of these are drying clear. Even though this one comes out as yellow, the Fevibond does come out yellow. It does dry clear and it kind of flattens out and it kind of settles itself. Nail glue is nail glue. If you don't know how nail glue works, it's just basically, it's very clear. It's very, you know, it's very watery. I don't know if you can see that, but it's like it's very watery. So I'm going to use the nail glue on the yellow part of this head wrap, okay? So I'm going to string on some yellow beads and then I'm going to show you me using the nail glue to tack it all down, okay? Stay tuned. Okay, so now I have my yellow beads strung on. And so what I want to do is I want to take my nail glue. Since these are all tacked down already, what I want to do is I just want to do a simple little dribble to just go down a line. Now, nail glue is one of those things that dries really quick. So if you want a glue that's going to dry quick, this is the one to do. So what I want to do is start tacking these down, these yellow beads. All right. Alrighty. Again, I'm going to grab a little trail of glue here and I'm leaving these open. I'm not bending down the ends. I only bend down one end so that they don't come off. And I'm just going to leave them loose. All right. That's why you should have your beads. Oops. You should have your beads ready because this glue dries quick, but you know, not that quick. It's quick enough that you can just grab your beads, push them down, and walk away. All right, so I'm shaping this up. I'm going to take a couple off here. Okay. Alrighty. So now we have our yellow part of our head wrap. Okay. I love it. So yeah, I am just going to just cut them. I'm not going to push them out. I want to push them out, but I want to push these wires out, but yeah, I just feel like later on I'm going to wish that I didn't do that. So I'm just going to cut the ends here. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So they're there. You got the nail glue. And even if you want to just reinforce it just a little smidgel, I'm going to, since this glue is so watery, you could just drop the glue down and just have it just dribble down underneath these rows just to reinforce it just a little bit. Wherever I see there's any empty spots, I'm going to drop some glue in there just to make sure they're not moving all over the place. So that's the one thing that I like about this glue, is the fact that you can swipe it and go, and it will dry fairly quickly, but just enough, gives you just enough time to grab your beads and just start pushing them into the spots where you want it to go. Okay, so I got this here. Just want to make sure it doesn't move. Okay, there you go. Got my gold beads down. Now the next color is orange, so I'm going to grab some orange beads. Although I do have some glue there, I'm just going to put a little bit more glue down. Grab my beads and push them right in place. Oops. All right. Grabbing some beads off. Okay. So again, I'm going to grab some glue just to get a little bit more down underneath these beads. Just pushing some down. And I'm holding it so that it will dribble down underneath. And then I'm going to grab some more orange, stick that down. I don't like the shape of that, so I'm going to take one bead off, drop it down. So there you go. Okay, and I'm leaving these, you can see the ends of the wire exposed, and I'm pressing as I go. So I want to do a little bit more glue, dropping it so that it goes underneath the last row I just did, and therefore giving me a little bit glue for the next row, but then at the same time taking care of your last rows. I'm telling you guys, when I say it, this right here with the E-6000 is still wet. Okay, so let me grab some more orange. I don't know if this orange is enough, but I'm going to do it like this. It may look like, what? Why aren't you putting that at the end? I don't know, but it always works out in the end. I did it for a reason. Alrighty. Alrighty. So now I am going to grab some gold. Okay. Alrighty. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do is grab some of this gold off of here because I don't need all of it. Just trying to stick to the shape that we have already. So I'm just moving. There you go. So next I'm going to do some blue, trying to make sure that the blue is going to be a smaller string. So here we go. Got a nice little small bit. I want to move it up a little bit because I want it to be little. Okay. Okay. Alrighty, so I am going to start with laying down some glue, making sure there's enough that it goes underneath the row ahead. And then I'm going to slap this down. So take this one bead off. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Now I'm feeling like I need another row or so of gold beads, but I don't really know how much I need. So I feel like I want to wrap this around this side and just have it come up and around the top like that. All right, let's put some glue down. So I don't know. I go back and forth as to which glue I like the best. But as a practice for this video, I did an entire pin just using the nail glue, and I really liked it. So, you know, I don't know. I'm a little bit on the I don't know which I like better. But I'm going to have to say it will be the nail glue. So I'm going to fill in just a tiny little string of blue beads because I don't want this to be a little hole. All right, so I'm going to dribble some nail glue into that hole there. Filled it up. And now I'm going to drop my beads down in the area. It's not, you know, in there, but I'm just dropping my beads down. So I can just press it in there. And that's when I want to use my pliers. You use your pliers to just push it down. All right, so I filled in that little space there. Alrighty. Since I know that this nail glue is dry, I'm going to, starting with the string of beads that's the furthest away, I'm going to start cutting off these pieces of wire. So I'm going to start cutting that off, trying to get as close as I can to the edge. Okay, okay, and okay. So I'm going to leave this because this is connected to that little hole of beads that I just filled in, and I don't want to mess with that too much because it's still wet. So what I want to do is I feel like around this edge needs a little gold band. So, but what I want to do is I want to have this whole piece be one whole piece and not break it up, because then that adds to the security of it if it's all one piece of wire. So I'm going to string on a bunch of gold beads real quick, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how I attach it around the edge. So stay tuned. So I have my long string of gold beads that I'm going to wrap around this head wrap, okay? So what I want to do first and foremost, I'm going to bend this end so that the beads can't fall off of it. I'm going to pinch it. Okay. And I'm just going to push these beads all the way to the end here, okay? All right, so now what I want to do real quick is I want to clean up the edges of this. So I'm going to get and cut this off real quick. All right, so we have this here, but I've noticed that this right here isn't very straight. So I'm going to cut these beads off because I want it to be as straight as possible. And this glue is pretty tacky and just, it's drying up. So I know that it's not going to move anywhere, okay? So now I have a straight edge on here. All right, so next what I'm going to do is I got my handy dandy nail glue ready to go. I got my string of beads. I have this in the middle of my workspace, and I'm going to start gluing down these gold beads. what I'm going to do, this is what it is so far. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to sit something on top of this to let it set in. Set it aside for right now and let it set and dry. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to show you the one that I actually tested this technique on. So I created this using exclusively this glue. So it's just something that I just wanted to try it just to see what it is. So when I try things out, I try not to do the same things over and over again because that would make me go crazy. Okay. So I wanted to try something else. And so while I test out this technique, and so this is made all exclusively with this glue. So what I found is, you know, it looks good. I mean, I like it, but I also, you know, I just don't like the bumpiness of it. And I just want to secure it a little bit more. So what I'm thinking that I might do is take some Let's Resin, clear resin, and I feel like I want to fill in all these holes and just to make it shiny and look a little bit more professional. I've never done this before. So I'm doing this for the first time on camera for you guys so that I can find out what exactly is going to happen with this pin. So I'm going to grab my UV light. This is what my UV light looks like. So what I want to do is make sure that the light doesn't come on yet. I'm gonna fill this all in real quick with UV resin, okay? Hold on. So if you can see the shine on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit this inside my UV light and I'm just gonna let it sit for 60 seconds. That's how long it takes to cure it. And then I'll show you the result afterwards. All right, so look at that shine. That stuff is very self-leveling, so that works out very nicely. And this is what it looks like off to the side. So yeah, that works out really good. I'm gonna cut this out. So that looks really good. I'm gonna put a backing on that some other time. I just wanted to show you an example of one that I used just totally glue, and that's what it looks like. I'm very happy with this. I want to start cutting these guys. This last little bit of wire, cut those off, and I have a finished pin. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing I did for the happy face one. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to put some UV resin on it. I just like this one. For some reason, I just like the way it looks and the texture of it. And it's not completely covered with nail glue because if you ever work with nail glue, it just takes everything and it dulls the shine on different things. And these beads never had any shine on them. So it kind of works out. So I might not fill it. I might not, you know, put UV resin on it. But that one definitely needed some UV resin and I loved it. It's perfect. So just to give it, just so it can keep that, handmade pin look, I am going to just leave it the way it is. So I am going to cut around the edge here real quick. Nothing crazy. I want to make sure I'm not cutting through any of the wires. Okay. There you go. And I also want to make sure I have an edging on this. So let me show you up close so that, you know, the beads aren't just hanging off there. Okay. So keep cutting. Alrighty, so there you have it, using exclusively just glue and no sewing. Okay, both of these techniques are a no sew way to make a pin. So now I'm going to flip this guy over here. Then I'm going to grab my little piece of backing. Just figure out which way you want to open your pin and which way you want to close your pin. And so I think I like it about right here. Okay, we're going to use glue that we know is not going to come off, and that will be our nail glue. Both sides are the same, so I'm just going to fill the whole thing with the glue. Alrighty, so I got my nice little thing is covered with glue, and I'm quickly trying to get it into position to glue down this backing because it's nail glue. It's going to stick as quickly as it can. So I'm just going to press down on it, and there you go. We got a nice little pin. No sew. So this is how we are making our no sew pin. It looks really neat. It's bigger obviously than this one is bigger than this one. This is the sew one, and then this is the glue one. But you can still get basically pretty close results, you know. So I got like 3 of them now. So as usual, you guys, I was trying to take the time to shorten my videos just a little bit so that they could be a little bit more easy to follow. And I wanted to make sure it would be something that wouldn't be a whole bunch of footage for you to go through to get to the certain parts that you need. So I shorten this as much as I can. If you enjoy this video and you think that you can use it, then make sure that you drop me a like, boop that thumbs up button thing, and then make sure you share it. Make sure to put it in a playlist, because if you put it in a playlist, then you can always have it there to go revisit it, just in case you're like, you get stuck. You're like, okay, well, let me go back to the video, and it's there in a playlist. Do that, because that really helps me out a lot. Be sure to follow me on my Instagram, where you can see all the up close and personal things that are happening in my life right now. Go there. Also, go to my TikTok, because I really need people to follow me on my TikTok, because if you don't follow me there, I ain't gonna do nothing with it. If there's people there waiting for me, I'm like, oh, I think I should do a video, huh? Yeah. So if you guys can do that, that will be very helpful to me. Yeah. Oh, don't forget to show 𝐂𝐈𝐒 some love. Make sure you follow them on their Instagram and look at their website. So I guess that I will see you in the next video, you guys. Okay. Bye.